Hey guys, welcome to the very first Pop Culture Galaxy podcast. I'm your host, Mark Bridge, and I'm here with Zach Worsner.
That's me.
And we're doing video. Holy crap. This is gonna be something obviously pretty new to us. You know, as you can see, this whole setup with the whole main viewer. Zach hasn't seen it yet, but he'll see it when it goes up. And then the whole point of it is that when we start going live, he'll be able to see it too, and we'll be able to interact more with the audience. But for now, try to get our feet wet. We're not trying to jump into deep waters. Let's start off a little bit shallow and get everything sort of the gears running. But so Zach, what you been up to?
Oh man, still in recovery and traction from
Mm-hmm.
Comic Con,
Yeah, yeah.
New York Comic Con. Just
Mm-hmm.
like I think a week or two ago. No. Actually, my last Comic Con story is about to go up. It's going to be going up later this week.
Nice, nice.
An interview with Sam Lake of Remedy.
Yeah, I did check that out. And it's interesting to find out because at one point you forgot. Wait a minute, Rockstar didn't make the first two Max Payne. It was Remedy. You know,
Hmm.
like Rockstar's Max Payne is such a defined series that you might think that it's not it might completely blow your mind that, oh yeah, if you never played the first two, it's completely different and it's by different creators. um but yeah, it's I I did play the first one. No, it was the second one. Somebody got it was my friend's girlfriend got it for me as a gift, but it wasn't any funny business. She was just like, hey, you always help my boyfriend out, here's Max Payne 2.
One of the greats.
Yeah, but I don't know. Because the reason why I didn't get into it is because of the whole, how the cutscenes were, where it was comic.
Oh, I thought that would have been right up your alley.
At the time, no, because I wanted to see some real cutscenes at the time.
You weren't a dweeb yet.
No, I was. It's just I preferred my comic book separate and my games, cutscene in one
Right.
lane.
I mean, fair enough. I
Yeah,
mean, they did it in the first game just because they didn't have the budget to do
yeah, yeah.
cutscenes.
But
But they look significantly different in part two.
yeah.
But it was definitely a stylistic choice in that case.
But I did. If I was to play it now, I'm sure I would appreciate it more. I'm not such a snob when it comes to art. Like, I appreciate art for what it is, even if you mix genres. Like, I'm more, my palette has increased in that regards.
I'll
Um,
say definitely Max Payne 1 feels dated.
mm-hmm.
Um, although, you can still jump in and have a great time.
Right.
But Max Payne 2, every time I play that game, I find something new, and it, the advances that it made with technology. It was 2003,
Mm-hmm.
so it was really before like the next gen boom of 2004.
Right. Right.
Half-Life 2, Doom 3, etc.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But Max Payne 2 definitely feels like this halfway between, the PS2 era, although it was primarily a PC game,
Right. Right.
and the PS3 360 era,
Mm-hmm.
where it's got those really high-tech ragdoll physics and destructible environments
Mm-hmm.
and great animation all around.
Yeah.
Holds up 100%.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. So I did read your interview about the Max Payne and how they gave the rights to Rockstar, or sold the rights to Rockstar. It was pretty interesting. Isn't it the same thing that happened with GTA and Red Dead, where it was like a whole different company that did the first Red Dead, and then Take Two bought them or Rockstar bought them or something like
I
that.
think I think Grand Theft Auto was always in-house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a weird thing where we see the logo Rockstar,
Yeah,
but there are so many different studios
yeah, yeah, yeah.
under that. It's kind of the opposite of what Rockstar means, where a rockstar is like this one individual
Mm-hmm.
who is so huge within his realm.
Right.
But Rockstar is just all these people who it's like this collective of talented people who are all anonymous under the Rockstar banner. So it's kind of a misnomer, but they had a bunch of studios. Like they had DMA Design, who are actually the credited developer on GTA 3, but they were retooled into Rockstar whatever, Rockstar North, Rockstar San Diego, Rockstar Leeds. The developers of the Game Boy Advance version of Max Payne, which is shockingly good for what it is. They got bought up and became Rockstar Leeds. Might not have the exact studio right, but then they did the PSP versions of Vice City Stories and Liberty City Stories.
Oh, got it.
But Red Dead was definitely, that was going to be published by Capcom.
Yes,
and
yes, I remember that. Yeah.
It was a lot wackier.
Yeah.
In its original incarnation. And then Rockstar picked it up, polished it, made it a little more grounded, although it's still a really wacky game.
Yeah.
Good though. But then they were like, all right, we want to do a Western, and we have this Western brand already. We might as well, capitalize on that recognition.
Yeah.
Although obviously you don't need to play Revolver to understand Red Dead. There's no narrative connections at all.
None at all.
Unless there's like some secret twists in Red Dead Redemption 2, which I haven't played yet.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet either, and it's a huge game from what I understand.
I'm waiting until I have like 8 hours with nothing to do, and they're like, now I'll start. Like I have it. I got it day one. Which is very, very rare for me, but.
You know what I decided to do? I'm gonna wait. Here's why I'm gonna wait. This is what happened to me. I had, when GTA 4 came out, I bought it at the time for PS3, right? Played a little bit of it, didn't finish it. Then it came out for PC. Got the PC version, beat it with the PC, right? GTA 5 came out. I got it for PS3. Didn't finish it. Got it for PS4. Didn't finish it. And then I got it for the PC. And then I finished it. So you know what? I'm going to hold out. It's not a confirmed thing yet if they're going to come out with the PC version of Red Dead Redemption 2. But I'm going to hold out for at least mid 2019. If there's none, then I'll probably get it then. And because
it'll come out in 2021 alongside the PS5 version.
So if it doesn't come out between sometime in 2019, I'll just get the PS4 version. And I have so many other games that I gotta play. Like I gotta play the Kingdom Hearts series before that thing comes out. 3 comes out. So
I mean, as you know, I don't play on PC, but I can definitely see why someone would want to wait. Uncapped frame rate.
Yeah.
Super 8K textures.
Well, my rig is not that powerful yet, but give me.
Well, you're getting there. You add on to it or something. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. Oh, before we get on to the movie news, I'll tell you a quick. Hauser's Dan is either it's gonna be Dan or Sam. It's one of the Hauser brothers, right? A story. So my girlfriend at the time, she was a nanny to this family, right? And she was close with my girlfriend was close with the mother of the kids she was watching, and one day the mother said, "Yeah, I came from a little play date or housewarming party for our neighbors. We were having fun, and then they gave us these shirts." And I'm like wondering, are they like musicians? Why are they giving us these shirts? They had like these stars on it, and it said Rockstar at the bottom. Is that musicians? And then when she told me, I was like, holy shit, wait a minute. What's the last name? Is it Hauser? And she said, yeah, Hauser. How do you know? Rockstar, they're the video game. So basically, my girlfriend at the time interacted with somebody who interacted with the Hausers. So that's the closest. Rad. That's the closest I've ever come to any of the Hausers. So,
we'll get there. We'll get the exclusive with Sam, who's done like 2 interviews ever.
All right, so let's move on to actually some movie news. we're back. All right. So the first bit of news I want to talk about is the Avengers 4 runtime. Now, currently, and this is not going to be a final thing, so a lot of headlines are saying it's now 3 hours. It's now 3 hours. Well, it is. The cut that they have right now is at 3 hours, but it says for now. It was a Q&A with Joe Russo, and they asked him what's the runtime, and it says it's currently at 3 hours, but we'll see if that holds. First, do you think that 3 hours will hold? Like we'll get a 3 hour Avengers 4 come next summer?
I think that it's possible, but very unlikely.
Right.
Although I can see it being very long, like 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
How long was Infinity War?
2 hours and 29.
Okay, I could see this being around that, maybe even a little longer.
Yeah.
Although I also think that Infinity War could have either used more time to breathe, or could have been edited more.
Right.
I think that the Battle of Wakanda is a bit of a, all right, you can go to the bathroom now if you want.
I disagree with that.
We've never seen the Avengers go up against a CGI army before.
No, but I guess
I definitely get like you need to have those obligatory shots of Captain America flailing his arms at CGI guys.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was not shot as well as the comparable scenes in the first Avengers, even though the CGI on those creatures was much better.
Right.
Than the Chitauri from that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just framed much better.
Yeah.
Then where there's a few too many shots in Infinity War where it looks like they just told the actor to flail their arms and they'll make it look like they're fighting.
Yeah. You know what it is?
Yeah.
It's because I remember so many sort of iconic parts of the Wakanda fight where I can't see where you would cut it. I'm sure like if I watch it again it was like, oh yeah, maybe you could cut that scene down. But why it didn't feel so bloated for me is because it was cut between the Titan fight and Wakanda fight. It was going on at the same time, so you never really spent too long in Wakanda. You had the Reds of Titan to kind of like switch it up a little bit. So that's why it never felt like it was bloated to me. It was just these two massive climaxes coming together at the same time.
True. I mean, definitely. If I had my way and I cut most of the Wakanda fight, like, I'm not a movie maker. I don't know how this stuff works, but I can criticize to my heart's content.
Right.
Maybe I would have jumped straight to the chase, really, of them, trying to kidnap Vision.
Right.
Instead of, we have to hold. I either would have made that like a big, huge focus, like the Battle of Helm's Deep. We got to hold the line.
Yeah.
But because there's so much going on, this thing that could sustain a whole movie on its own, maybe should have been truncated into something else, and we could save 10 or 15 minutes.
Right.
But then you wouldn't have awesome stuff like Falcon flying around with machine guns and War Machine dropping bombs and making Falcon look like a schmuck. When you got War Machine, you don't really need Falcon.
Yeah.
Because War Machine is so much more powerful than Falcon. Like their power levels are not balanced.
Right.
Although I love Falcon so much. He's one of my favorite characters in the whole series.
He's there because Cap is there. You can't abandon Cap. It's not like he's gonna say, you know what, you got this, Rhodey. I'm gonna sit this one out.
He's more of a scout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so going back to Avengers 4, we know that one of the main reasons they kind of, even though it's shot back to back, one of the reasons they separated productions is because they knew this movie had a different kind of tone than Infinity War. Infinity War was kind of like a on the roll, smash and grab, like it was on the move. So it had to be paced that way. So yeah, you had your 2.5 hour, even though that's long compared to other films. But as far as like what you thought, because at the time I thought like Infinity War is gonna be like a 3-hour movie because there's so many characters, there's so many things that they have to deal with. but they managed to squeeze in the plot in 2.5, which was like a surprise to me. But going for Avengers 4 now, like, the reason why I think it could possibly stick with the 3 is that maybe they're going for a different tone, where it's not like, oh, it's on the move, everything has to be a smash and grab kind of vibe to it. You know, like, what do you think sort of like the tone could possibly be for Avengers 4?
Well, I think it's going to be a lot darker. You know, it's such an overused word.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's going to be darker. Oh, yeah, you know, darker. Oh, it's Empire Strikes Back.
Right. I think we had our Empire Strikes Back in the MCU already with the Infinity War. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is kind of, you know, I think half of the movie has to be kind of like what the Justice League could have been.
Right.
Where you spend half of this movie going, oh my god, everything is so bad.
Mm-hmm.
In this world, all of our heroes are dead. Iron Man's stuck on the moon, or Titan. How's he gonna get out of there? We don't know. He's gonna make a ship out of like straw.
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, you say that how it might start dark. There are rumors out there, and you know, I even thought like that could possibly be a way to do it too. That they're actually gonna do a time jump. Like, the movie is not gonna start right after Avengers Infinity War. That could be like 5 years later, because you know, they cast someone who they're saying is an older Cassie Lang. So could, you know, the movie could start off like 5-6 years later, however long later, and that describes the tone. Like, we don't really get to see them deal with it. It's just what the world is after the whole vanishing. You know, kind of like what's that show, The Leftovers, on HBO?
Right.
It's their version of The Leftovers. Like, basically, you catching up with everyone. What's the world like now that half the population of the galaxy is gone? Like, is it
Part
bad,
of me is
good?
like, I'm thinking if they did that, then we know that it would have to end back in the present, because, you know, even though Tom Holland is like, you know, 5 years older than Spider-Man, we know that the next Spider-Man movie is still going to be a high school movie, right?
Yeah, it is.
So if they do a time jump, it'll just, you know, I would hate for the solution to just be undoing everything. And then going back to the present and be like, oh, it's like the whole adventure never happened.
That's the thing. That's why I always think that because everyone is always talking about what's the consequences of everything, you know? And with Kevin saying Spider-Man 4 is sort of the movie that's going to lead you into this new, what the MCU is like post Avengers 4.
Far From Home.
Yeah. What did I say? Homecoming?
Spider-Man 4.
Oh,
I was like, wait, they got Toby back?
Yeah, sorry. So that movie.
Oh my god, I can dream.
That movie. What if? Right now, follow me. What if the 5 years is not erased? Basically, everyone comes back. Whatever they do in order to sort of get rid of the snap doesn't mean like they went back in time. They just brought everyone back, and everybody who disappeared comes back 5 years later. So Tom Holland is still, I don't know, 16, 17, but a friend of his who used to go to high school is now 5 years older than he is, and he is dealing with the world post Avengers. So I mean, they have set photos of Zendaya as well. She looks the same age, obviously, so she could have been one of the vanished. But basically, like, some of his friends vanished and some of his friends didn't vanish, and he's back into high school, but now the world has moved on 5 years ahead of him, and that could be them getting acclimated to this new world that is now 5 years ahead.
Like, they get raptured, and then 5 years later they get unraptured, but they're the same age.
Yes. And
that could be cool.
And, you know, whoever is in charge of Wakanda at the time could have sort of infused their technology into the world and it's them
Shuri.
it's them sort of looking at the world where Wakanda has opened up its borders, and you know, everybody has flying cars. No, I'm just kidding. They don't have flying cars, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about.
Coulson has a flying car.
Yeah, not anymore.
What, did Lola get wrecked?
Yeah, it did, and it never.
I don't remember that. But okay.
When it fell and Mac keep asking him to repair it, I don't think they ever repaired that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is my theory on how they could possibly do the consequences thing while bringing everyone back. Because their thing is like, oh, people have to stay dead because there's no consequences, right? Of Infinity War. But my thing is, there can be consequences without the permadeath that Infinity War brought on. You know, that's my idea. All right, so we can move on to another Marvel movie. Is Captain Marvel officially takes place in 1995. You know, we knew it was in the 90s, but we never knew specifically what year it took place in. We know there's a blockbuster, so it's the 90s. We know some people saw the Rock the Vote shirt, which was in 92. So they you know, they couldn't pinpoint the time. And Nine Inch Nail, when did Nine Inch Nail become big? Because I listened to Nine Inch Nail, I didn't listen to him from the beginning, you know. There are 92 or
It sounds 92 sounds right.
Yeah.
But they are very ubiquitous with the 90s.
Yeah.
In general.
Right.
But I think the first record might even go back to like 89.
Yeah.
But I'm not. If my brother were here, he would know exactly, and he'd be slapping me on the back of the head. But he had a phase. He had a very pronounced Nine Inch Nails phase.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, definitely if you want something to scream 90s, you throw Trent Reznor in there.
Yeah. So 95. Basically...
Yeah. It's got to be before even before that, because the Rhino boss in Super Mario World is named Reznor after Trent Reznor.
Oh.
And that game was 91.
Oh, right. Yeah. So yeah, definitely.
Or 90 in Japan, 91 in the States. And but I'm not sure if the characters had their same names in both versions.
So the mid 90s is post. It's pre Titanic. That's 97. Pre True Lies, but post Terminator.
Post Jurassic Park.
Yeah, post Jurassic. So a lot of iconic stuff came out in the first 4 years of the 90s. So what can we expect as far as like what will show? Oh, this is definitely 90s. Other than blockbusters and Nine Inch Nail, what do you think? Can you remember what could have been? I mean, I know you weren't born at the time.
Well, I'm 91.
No, oh, right.
So I was a little kid.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe she'll say it's morphin time. I don't know.
That was 93, right? Power Rangers?
About.
Yeah, 93.
But it was definitely a formative part of my youth.
Like, I want to do this video. I think I'm going to do, like, a couple of videos that are releasing around in time for Captain Marvel. Like, best action movies of the 90s. And popular culture in the 90s. Like, in terms of, like, I know Superman died in 93 or 4. 93 or 4, Superman died. Wolverine lost his adamantium in 93. Batman got his bat broken in 94. 1991 was Batman Returns, right?
That sounds about right.
No, 92 was Batman Returns. 91 was Ghostbusters 2. Of course, Jurassic Park was 93. When was Forrest Gump?
Maybe 94.
Yeah, around that. So yeah, mid 90s. You have a lot to mine from.
Oh yeah.
She could catch up with the world of the 90s. Even though she might not have the time, it'll probably be like a She comes to Earth. Don't really have enough time, because how that's the thing I'm curious about, because the trailer makes it look like she left Earth. She doesn't remember she's from Earth. She comes back to Earth. How long has she, from the time she became Captain Marvel to the time she comes back to Earth? How much time has passed? That's the question. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like there's a lot we don't like. Do we know if she's a full alien or if she has powers?
We don't
You
know
know.
how she got her powers. If they're gonna go the comic book route where it's the whole Captain Marvel power
Yeah,
got infused to hers.
like I'm not that familiar, but like it's something dumb, right? In
Yeah,
the comics, isn't it kind of dumb?
yeah, because she wasn't supposed to be a huge. She was like one of the sidekicks characters that they created, in the early times when psychics were a thing. You the Buckies, the Robins, the
Right, exactly. I was
Kid
thinking
Flash.
like she's like Bucky.
Yeah. She was sort of a secretary / Air Force pilot whenever they wanted to.
That's so funny. She's a secretary / Air Force pilot. It's like when Wonder Woman was the secretary of the Justice League. Yeah. It's like, oh god, it was a different time. A different stupid time.
So they wanted to have like a female version of Captain Marvel at the time. So it was like an explosion of a weapon that the Kree set off when Captain Marvel was around, and it set off, hits her, then she gets infused with his DNA. So that's how she's like, But I think the MCU is gonna make it simpler by having one of her parents be like a Kree or something like that.
I'm sure. There something about they rewrote her origin story very recently in the comics, and we think that that's going to be the new source material.
Yeah, but I haven't read her recent comics, so I don't know exactly what they're talking about. But I think that's what they're gonna do, definitely. Because the MCU like to simplify things.
Yeah, get to the point.
Yeah,
as they say.
And I like the fact that they're not going the whole traditional origin route where it's like you see her get the power, you see her dealing with the power, and then the final act. She's already Captain Marvel.
It worked with Spider-Man. Spider-Man: Homecoming was like, let's get to it. We've seen this origin too many times.
Yeah.
With these characters, you throw them in there, and you can just have a couple of lines saying, "Oh, this happened to me a few years ago," and we go, "Okay, let's not worry about it.
Yeah.
We'll deal with it." They don't. Even if they never mention Uncle Ben, we'll be fine because he's such a cultural. Spider-Man is as culturally ubiquitous as like Jesus. When you have a Jesus story, you don't need to have a scene where God pops up to Mary and is like, "Hey, I'm gonna put a baby in you," and she's like, "Dude, no." And Joseph's like, "Oh, come on!" Like you don't need to have that.
Yeah.
Because we know it already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, oh, this is a failure in storytelling because we can't connect the dots. It's like the dots, and you know the lines between the dots. It's fine.
Yeah.
We can just get to the reason that we came to the movie to see something new.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, not to see what we've already seen.
Yeah. So I'm excited for the time period it takes place and for how they're structuring it. Without doing, even though they're gonna have flashbacks of obviously how she becomes Captain Marvel, because we gotta know.
Yeah. I mean, related to that, Captain Marvel obviously is not as culturally ubiquitous as Spider-Man.
Right.
Like, I had to have the whole Shazam, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel thing explained to me.
Yeah.
At least once or twice. At least once or twice by you.
Yeah. And I'm not even still 100% sure. I still got to go back and look exactly what the deal was with that. But the whole DC and Marvel thing was such a...
Right, and so she does need a little bit of introduction.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that even if it's in flashbacks, that they won't just go, "This is Captain Marvel, deal with it." Yeah. They'll be, "This is Captain Marvel, deal with it," and later we'll check in and make sure that what's up with everything.
All right. Yeah.
Marvel has, they've made mistakes here and there, but there's a level of trust that we have with that brand.
Yeah.
that they're gonna do us right with the finished movie.
Yeah.
At least until Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out.
Oh
You
my
know,
god.
they have trust until that happens. But I really don't want to get into that again.
Oh god.
We can look at the last one for that.
Yeah.
The pre video podcast.
Yeah. Um. All right. So we got couple about 4 months. 4 months until
Yeah, March.
we see. Yep. Until we see, which is gonna come around as quickly as possible. So. We'll see.
But I appreciate the gap. I appreciate the wait.
Yeah.
You know, there's something about these movies. The individual movies don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, pretty much everything between Avengers or between Iron Man 3 and now, there's been more than one movie a year.
Yeah.
There's been so many.
Right.
But the gap between Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel, I think, is like the longest for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
The longest gap that there has been. And it's not, you know, it's not perfect because it is still, you know, what is it, a 7-8 month gap? That's not a long time between movies. But those movies are also not as grandiose as something like The Avengers or Civil War or, you know, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's important to let the brand breathe so that the movies themselves can stand on their own and not just be, you know, episodes in this endless machine that's just churning out movies.
Yeah.
It's important to go, let's take a look at this one movie and let that be the one movie that we have for a little while at least.
But then next year, they're going to come out so close together, though. You're going to have Captain Marvel, then 2 months later, you're going to have Avengers 4, and then 2 months later, Spider-Man.
Well, we'll just have to see how that plays out. You know,
there's going to be like the middle chunk of Marvel movies in 2019. But,
and that'll be the real test, is will Avengers 4 feel like an event? Though, you know, Avengers 3 still feels like an event because we don't know the title of Avengers 4, and I think that is totally fine. I'm fine with not knowing the title of Avengers 4 until after Captain Marvel comes out.
Well, cause they're not going to do that only because they're going to show us a trailer like before the year is done.
Maybe they'll debut the trailer in front of Captain Marvel. Why not? Or no, not even in front. At the end of Captain Marvel. Hey, they did it with Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah, yeah. That was the first time they showed the trailer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then the difference between that, though, is that the Avengers movie wasn't coming out until a whole year after. So
absolutely.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what they do. Like, Marvel is, you know, a whole different place than any other studio right now when it comes to...
We trust them.
Yeah, you know, like...
I mean, Edgar Wright doesn't trust them, but we trust them.
Damn it, man. He should have stuck around. But whatever, you know. We'll see. All right, let's move on to some TV news. All right, the first bit of TV news I want to talk about is we finally know the name of Disney streaming service. It'll be
Disney T.
Disney. I think it's supposed to be Disney Plus.
Oh, Disney Plus. I thought it was a T.
And I think it, you know, Disney Plus and
Disney Plus Fox.
Probably. You know, there were rumors that it was called Disney Play, and we were calling it that prior to, but now it's Disney Plus. It works. Plus Play, same amount of letters, doesn't really matter. And I like the logo with the whole arch and the ends with the plus. But yeah, they're going to have a crap ton of content, especially with the whole Fox deal. And in the same announcement, Bob Iger confirmed that we're getting a Loki series. He didn't mention Scarlet Witch or Falcon and Winter Soldier, but he did say there's a Loki series with Tom Hiddleston, and I'm excited. And I think the streaming service is part of what's going on with the whole Netflix and Marvel, because Disney is actually encroaching on their territory right now, right?
Yeah, I bet Charlie Cox isn't excited about this.
Yeah, like now they're, they were just into movies, and the television stuff they had was on ABC and Freeform and anything. They weren't getting into the digital space that Netflix occupied. I mean, granted, along with Hulu and Amazon Prime, but Netflix was on a whole new ball game, right? They were the kings of the streaming service. With Disney, however, they actually have a better chance than, like, say, CBS All Access and Apple streaming service, or whoever wants to get into the streaming service game. They have a better chance of competing with Netflix, because not only do they have these sort of original shows that they're putting on, but the catalog that they're getting from Fox, and their own catalog going back how many years, all the movies except for Song of the South and the other racist stuff.
Well, that's most of it. I mean, it is Disney. They're pretty racist people.
Yeah.
I mean, Disney's great. We love Disney. They're so fantastic.
But they'll take the lesser of the racist stuff. And maybe if they put on the stuff that had racist stuff, they'll just edit that out.
Or, well, it's a thing that I go back and forth on, because I would like to watch Song of the South on, without having to, like, bootleg it.
Yeah.
Put a adult advisory on it or something.
This represented a time, a period of.
Yeah, or even have, like, some guy come up and have Morgan. If Morgan Freeman wasn't a sexual predator, get someone who's like Morgan Freeman but not a sexual predator. Like get Idris Elba in 10 years. And have him be like, so the movie you're about to watch is da 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 da, and it's a different time, da 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 da, and now enjoy for its historical context and amazing animation.
Yeah.
That's like 40 years before Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
And it sucks that it's so goddamn racist that you don't get to appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, and there's a lot of cartoons that are admired for their storytelling and animation, but are also, ridiculed because they're so goddamn racist. Like, I'm trying to remember, but there's a jazz version of Snow White where it's like, or it's a white girl and like these 7 jazz musicians. I think it's like not Tex Avery, but Chuck Jones. Is that the guy?
Yeah.
And it's it's on the list of like worst cartoons ever and also greatest cartoons ever, because it just has this cultural relevance and historical relevance that don't mesh with modern progressive sensibilities. And a streaming service with age gates and the context of it's only there if you choose it, as opposed to it just airing whenever it airs, could be a place for programs that are discomforting for different reasons, to actually have a home where you can watch them legally.
Yeah.
You shouldn't erase it and go, no, we weren't racist. What's this Song of the South of which you speak? I've never heard of that before. That's bad.
Yep.
But what's good is to go, yeah, we did this. And it's a very important piece of historical art that we should learn about. But
and you say that's correct, but I think the whole thing is, people are so outraged nowadays. If that launches on the streaming service, they were like, why did Disney put this on? And it'll just overtake the conversation. And I think something Disney probably, I think they probably won't launch it with that. But later, like, give it a year of the service being around a year or two where everybody's more acclimated to it, then they'll say, hey, we're putting on some of our more historically edgy stuff back on there for you to watch. Now that you know what the service is like, so it doesn't overtake the conversation. You know what I mean? I think that's probably what they'll end up doing, for the sake of like not getting all these outraged Twitter people blowing up and just taking away from what they're trying to put out in with their service. But yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think they said something about how Touchstone Pictures won't be on it,
right?
With the exception probably of something like The Nightmare Before Christmas, which was Touchstone Pictures, but then when it was re-released, it got the regular Disney brand,
right?
Or like they changed their mind. It's like Touchstone was like their more adult, not even adult, but just less child friendly stuff. And I think they've said something like that won't be on it, or there will be no R-rated content on it.
Yeah.
And that's to start. At some point in the future, they probably will put that, just because they will need more and more content.
Or well, I mean, there'll be majority owners of Hulu, so maybe they'll put their edgier stuff on Hulu. And keep the PG to PG-13 stuff on the Disney streaming service. Like I don't think you'll see Predator and Aliens on Disney Plus anytime soon.
Right, those are Fox.
Yeah.
Right.
But they're putting.
But we will see Avatar.
Yes. But yeah, they really have a shot at competing with Netflix on the same level, and with the shows and what they're investing in, the kind of money they're investing in the shows, which is really usually left for features, shows that they really want to play the game. So, and then we can actually go on to the next topic, which has to do with that. We first hear they're making The Mandalorian, currently shooting right now, with so many directors that are big. Rick, I could never get his last name. Rick Fajimuya, whatever his last name is.
Fukuyama.
Yeah.
Yes,
that guy.
Oh wait, Rick or Carrie?
No, it's Rick.
I was thinking of the True Detective guy.
Yeah.
Who were you thinking of?
The Dope guy who did Dope.
Oh right, Rick. Yeah, I think you were right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait for his Flash movie to come out.
Yeah.
Or any Flash movie.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta check. You know what? Let me look.
Never gonna happen.
Directors.
I just rewatched Justice League, and was like, it's not that bad. Still pretty bad, but not that bad. But
yeah.
I don't like it. But it's a movie that I can watch and not, cut myself.
Yeah. It's, what? It could have been. I'm disappointed. It's because it's not that. Because it's good and not. I wouldn't even call it good. It's an okay movie. It's an okay movie, but that's a disappointment because it's okay.
And it's got, we've talked about this before, but it's got that whole, you can tell that it's being made by people who want to undo the things that they had done already.
Yeah.
Where I don't know if Zack Snyder had been allowed to do his original vision, where it's like 5 movies that are all going to be 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Would that be better? Probably not, but it would be what he set out to make.
Yeah.
And would that be better?
Probably better than. I mean, it would definitely be better than what we got. I don't know, maybe.
and something like Batman v Superman, which is, I don't like that movie, but would it have been better? It's like an issue of a comic book that's like, you don't like it, but you can appreciate it in the context of the greater whole.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't like this issue, but you need to read this issue in order to get what happens later.
Yeah.
Like the whole parademon nightmare with the Omega sign. I don't know what that is.
Well, I mean, it's
I know
it's
you know what
yeah,
that means,
we
but
know
I
what
don't
it
know what
is,
that
and
means.
it's dark side because he didn't get around to
I don't
doing
know
his
who
dark
that
side.
is.
It's their version of
I mean, like I
Thanos.
know who I kind of I
Yeah,
basically know
yeah.
who he is. He's like he looks like a rock and he's
Hmm.
got red eyes and the blue
Yeah,
hat.
yeah.
But I remember seeing it Justice League in theaters and Steppenwolf is like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do it for Darkseid. And some people were like, oh, he said Darkseid, and I'm
Hmm.
like, no, don't encourage him. You're just happy because he said a word that you read in the comics. It's not the same as being good.
uh,
Ah!
all right, so I have a list here. The directors of The Mandalorian. It's Dave Filoni, who's
That's
big on
so
the
rad.
animated stuff. Bryce Dallas Howard, which is
What? Oh, I love her so much.
yeah. Which she did. Did she direct an episode of Black? No, she didn't. She was in an episode of Black Mirror, but she's gonna direct an episode. I mean, her dad did Solo.
Yep.
Well, finished Solo.
Yeah.
um,
Saved
yeah.
Solo.
And then Taika Waititi. I'm looking forward to this episode. Deborah Chow and Rick Famuyiwa. Yeah.
Famuyiwa.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. So he was supposed to do
Apologies
Flash.
to Rick and the Famuyiwa family because we butchered his name.
Yeah, I could just never get his last name. So, and you know what? That I almost said he directed True Detective 2 because I confuse the two sometimes.
Right, Cary Fukunaga.
Yeah.
Is
yeah.
and who's now attached to James Bond.
Yes. Yes.
Which is we'll see if he lasts,
Yeah.
but he's attached.
Yeah. So they're going all out with the Mandalorian show, which Jon Favreau is producing and running, whatever.
And he's at least directing an episode, right?
His name wasn't on the list. I know he's producing.
If he's
executive
in charge,
producing, he's in charge. He doesn't necessarily have to direct an episode. Oh, he's not. No, he's not. Episode 1 is Dave Filoni. Episode 2 is Rick. 3 is Deborah. 4 is Bryce Dallas. 5 is Dave Filoni again. 6 is Rick again. 7 is Deborah again, and the final episode is Taika Waititi.
Ah, okay.
So he's just overseeing the whole project. But so that's not the only Star Wars show they have in development. They have the Star Wars Rogue One Prequel.
Rogue Zero.
Yeah, which will star Diego Luna as his Cassian Andor character. I'm mixed on that one.
I don't love Cassian as much as everybody else does.
Well, not necessarily about his involvement in it. It's just his character. Is the fact that, okay, is this character the main character? Because if it is, it's like we already know what's going to happen to the guy. You know what I mean? Rogue One shows you what's going to happen. So him being in peril in the prequel series is just going to be like, oh, yeah, he's going to survive. But if he's a secondary character and the main character is someone else, then,
Ezra.
Yeah. Maybe they'll save Ezra for Resistance, but Ezra could be the main character.
Do we know if Star Wars Rebels is going to be on the streaming service? Is it on Disney Plus? Gotta start calling it that.
It should be because it's not on anything else right now.
Okay, because I haven't finished it. I only watched the first season and a half because I was like, oh, it's so hard to watch it anywhere.
You can watch it on XD, the online. You should. I think all episodes are on XD now. Disney.
Do they
XD.
have commercials?
If you have the ad blockers on, it won't play. Because I don't remember. I did binge the whole series on there. I don't remember watching commercials. I don't know if it's because I had my ad blocker on, or if because they don't usually play commercials on there.
I'll have to look into that. Because I remember I watched the first season when I still lived with my parents.
Right.
Me and my brother watched it. One of very few shows that he actually wanted to watch with me, which was very nice.
Right.
But they had the commercials at the begin. They had like 1 or 2 commercials at the very beginning. I watched it on demand.
Right.
Through cable, and they'd play like a ridiculous kids commercial in the beginning for like Legos and toys and stuff, and it was a little nostalgic and a little infuriating. The screaming voices telling you to buy this cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then when the show started, they just wouldn't have any commercials because they were like, we know that a little kid's not going to be watching this on demand. If you're watching this on demand, you're probably a grown up who just doesn't want to watch commercials. So we're just going to play the whole episode and not make you worry.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that.
Yeah.
It's like, I can sit through a commercial at the beginning of a show, but if you're going to interrupt it, then I'm out.
Yeah. I don't. Because I watched the final season on there, and I didn't have to deal with commercials, so you can check it out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna wait. I'll probably wait and see what the deal is gonna be with Disney Plus, and then if it's not gonna be on it, then I'll either do that, or just buy the DVDs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Blu-rays.
So yeah, I'm excited and skeptical of the whole Rogue Zero show. I'm mainly glad that we're getting content, Star Wars content.
Yeah.
And it's live action, and they're actually bringing in the actual stars of the movies. Like Star Wars is known to do that, right? All their content is really you really feel that they're connected, unlike Marvel.
That canon is so important.
Yeah, unlike Marvel, where Marvel is the movies, TVs, Netflix. It's like they're connected.
Exactly. The movies, ABC shows, Netflix shows, The Punisher. Although The Punisher is by design.
Yeah.
If The Punisher is aiming to not be connected to the MCU.
Yeah.
And then like way in the corner, you've got like Runaways.
Yeah.
Where they're like, we're here, and they're like, no, you're not. We have this person from Doctor Strange. And that's an irreconcilable thing. We've given up on hashtag it's all connected.
Yeah.
With like season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
We're just like, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. If you'd like, then you can pretend that they're all in the same universe, and you can have some fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no way in a million years that something on Netflix is going to be mentioned, let alone have a tangible effect on something from the movies.
And then what makes it worse now, Kevin Feige is heading up his own television universe with Loki and supposedly...
Right, I meant to ask you this before. Is Disney Plus Marvel's way of circumventing Ike Perlmutter?
Maybe, yes, maybe.
Like, is he attached to those at all?
No, it's Kevin Feige's show. The Loki, the Falcon, the Scarlet Witch, it's his show. Ike has nothing to do with that, because if it's Marvel Television, Ike has to be involved, right? But I doubt you'll see Marvel Television as a logo in front or behind or anything. You'll probably just see Marvel Studios presents Loki.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
none of us know the whole behind the scenes stories about Ike and Kevin. Like, maybe Ike's a nice guy. Probably not. But maybe he's okay. Maybe he's troubled. Maybe he's conflicted. Maybe he's got his good traits.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. mostly.
Uh-huh. And then here's the thing. Is it so bad, right? Because, okay, we as viewers, we look at shows like Punisher, Daredevil, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and we say, oh my God, these shows are so good. Like, you're telling me Kevin doesn't watch these shows and they're like, oh wow, they're actually good. I really could use some of that flair in our universe. Like, is he that he doesn't watch it because he doesn't want to be influenced by...
Does he not watch them? Has he
I
said
don't know.
That he doesn't watch them?
That's the thing. He never said he doesn't watch them. But I'm sure, like, if he watches them, like, even if he likes it, right? It's like, I'm thinking this, right? He watches it, he likes it, but he just can't stand Ike, that he'll just... I don't care how much I like the show, it's not going to be a part of my world.
Yeah, and another thing about Ike is that he was there in Phase 1, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he have something to do with casting Robert Downey Jr.?
It was Kevin and Terrence Howard that fought for Robert.
Ike was like against it?
Ike was the one who was like, "This dude, we have like $500 million from Merrill Lynch right now. We cannot gamble this thing on a."
I mean,
on this guy.
and he did have a point, but obviously he was proven wrong. But
Yeah.
you can't blame the guy for going, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't hire this freaking crazy guy who has this checkered past of stuff that we don't need to get into right now."
So that's why Terrence was kind of really pissed off with
being fired.
Yeah, and with Downey saying, "Yo, I helped get you this job, and you didn't back me up." You know what I mean? So yeah, it was Terrence and Kevin that fought for Downey to get it. Back in the days when Marvel was an independent studio.
Yeah. Good times.
Right, but now they're set with Disney. But like, oh my God, at least Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I would hope, has some influence on the world. Especially the fact that Kevin brought back Coulson for Captain Marvel. Granted, it's a prequel, but
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
That he's back, and yes, it is just a prequel, so it.
But he could have easily just not included his character. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that's important, and is something that's always going to damage the TV shows, whatever network or streaming service they're on.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Disney Plus stuff, is that in the future, they're going to be a lot less ubiquitous than the movies. It's like in the future, we're going to watch from Iron Man through Infinity War or through Avengers 4 and go, that's the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone's going to be like, oh, well, you got to watch 6 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Defenders and this and that. And they're going to go, no, you don't. You don't have to watch that.
Yeah.
You still get the entire picture.
Mm-hmm.
Without that's a separate picture.
Yeah.
Or like a picture in picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if there's a museum of Marvel, the whole museum is the movies, and the basement is the TV shows.
Yeah.
And which doesn't mean that the TV shows can't be great, and some of them are really good, but they're not. They are side content, and they're always going to be side content. It's like when The Matrix Reloaded came out, they went, no, if you want the whole picture.
Yeah.
You gotta play Enter the Matrix video game. You gotta watch the Animatrix. You gotta. I'm sure there were comics to tie into that as well.
Well, not at the time, but I think they're later. Right. But you know what's funny about that? So I did buy Enter the Matrix, right?
Yeah, me too.
Right, and then when I got the movies, on DVD at the time, I got the recordings of the live action stuff from the Enter the Matrix. So whenever I watched Reloaded, I always had to pause it, go back to where I think the scenes would connect, just to get it full, because I could never watch Reloaded by itself.
Man, you're such a nerd.
Yeah, I could. It's like for a long time I couldn't watch Reloaded by itself. Like I had to incorporate Enter the Matrix in it, because there are certain things in Enter the Matrix that sold what happens in Reloaded better.
I have a problem watching Reloaded, but it has nothing to do with that. See, because it's not a very good movie. It's fine. It's fine. I know.
Okay. You know what?
You still have your posters on the wall?
No, I took it down.
Oh, okay. Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
But I do agree. It took me a while to agree with certain people in that 2 and 3 are flawed. But I think the flaw in those movies is that it was too cerebral and not enough emotions to sell it.
And even that's actually a good example. There are other problems and things that we can go back and forth on what's good and what's bad about the Matrix sequels.
Mm-hmm.
But something that hurts them, especially now, years later, is how dependent they are of a viewer knowing stuff like the final flight of the Osiris.
Oh, right. Yes.
And Enter the Matrix.
That's another thing too. Before I watch Reloaded, I boot up Final Flight.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's something like if the Marvel hashtag it's all connected were actually that connected,
Mm-hmm.
it would be a pain in the ass to want to watch the MCU
Yeah.
because you'd have to go, all right, I'm watching this, or oh, I got to watch the first season of Agents of Shield before I get to Winter Soldier, but I have to stop at this particular point
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I don't spoil that. And like that stuff is great in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
There will never be. No, there will never be something that captures the zeitgeist the way the first season of Agents of Shield mixed with the Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that is of the time,
Mm-hmm.
and you can look back on it and go, "Wow, that was really cool. You had to have been there."
Yeah.
And
um.
and it's only something that can be relayed to the next generation in the past tense
Mm-hmm.
because they're never gonna watch Thor: The Dark World and then stop
Mm-hmm.
and then watch all of Agents of Shield
Yeah. Then.
first season, stopping at right before the betrayal,
Yeah.
and then watch the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Like you're never gonna get anyone to do that,
Mm-mm.
and you wouldn't want to
Right.
stop the momentum like that. Like these things exist now
Mm-hmm.
and in the present.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? Rogue One?
Yeah, Rogue One. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. We can actually jump on to the next topic, which is Netflix. They have they're doing animes. I don't know how much of an anime fan you are, but they're actually going to do an anime series of the Pacific Rim movie, and an anime movie, a film, from Altered Carbon. Have you seen the Altered Carbon show on Netflix?
I haven't, which is bad because Joel Kinnaman is one of my favorite actors.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I just haven't gotten around to watching that show.
Yeah. So
But I will say that I'm more excited for Altered Carbon than I am for Pacific Rim. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. So Pacific Rim, like when Guillermo del Toro made the movie, he really made it as a live action anime. So that really lends itself to animes more than any other property that I can really think of live action wise. So I can see why they would want to do a series on that, especially with kaijus and mechs and stuff like that, Jaegers, whatever they call the mechs in that. And then for Altered Carbon, it's based on a book series, a trilogy. They're doing the second season with Anthony Mackie taking over the role that Joel Kinnaman played.
And who's another one of my favorite actors. So this is my favorite show, and I haven't even watched it.
So I can assume they haven't said what these series is going to be about. I can assume the animated film will take place like one of the Takeshi's or Takashi's past lives, to have to do with that, or a side character. Who knows? They didn't, like I said, they didn't really say anything. But Altered Carbon, I'm really excited for that. I'm more excited for season 2, obviously, than the anime. But because I'm watching a ton of anime too right now, and Netflix has a ton of anime. I'm split between watching anime on Netflix and watching it on Hulu. And my friend lent me his Crunchyroll account, so I'm watching anime on that too. So I have so much anime to watch, but I'm really excited for that. So are you looking for? What do you think of the whole anime explosion? Are you into anime?
I'm not really into anime, but I've seen a handful. I've read more comic books than I've seen anime.
Right.
But I've seen Cowboy Bebop, the whole series, the movie, Perfect Blue, a couple of Studio Ghibli movies.
Yeah.
The Cat Returns.
Yeah.
I've seen a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but I am more excited for Altered Carbon because it's definitely got those Blade Runner sensibilities, and that is so ripe for anime that Ghost in the Shell kind of. I've seen Ghost in the Shell, the two movies, but not the series.
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell and Ghost in the Shell 2. And then I saw Ghost in the Shell with Scarlett Johansson and was like, oh no, what happened? This movie was so bad, it made me it made me roll my eyes when the spider tank showed up.
Right.
It's like, how do you ruin the spider tank?
And you know what's funny? They had almost shot for shot stuff that happened in the anime in the movie, but it just didn't feel as gratifying to see it because the whole movie was just like, okay.
You get Beat Takeshi in there,
Yeah,
and he rocks, but it's still just so bad. From the visionary director of Snow White and the Huntsman. No,
oh my god!
don't do that.
Imagine if he had an affair with Scarlett in that movie as well.
Yeah, he wishes. That's funny.
It's like,
But,
what is this dude and his leading ladies?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a certain je ne sais quoi. But I'm not excited for Pacific Rim as an anime series. Well, one thing that kind of bothers me about anime is that I get so bored of animated action.
Yeah.
Like when I see live action, even if it's CGI, there's something real there, and I go, this is cool. This took a lot of work. And like, it takes a lot of work to draw stuff. Yeah. Like, animation is incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine having to do that. But it's also not real.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
It sounds like kind of elitist and like old-timey and curmudgeon-y. But like when I see like Dragon Ball, and like they have these whole episodes, arcs of like 5 episodes where nothing happens, but like it's like a close-up of them and their fists are moving, and the background is like yellow and red lines that are going whoosh, 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 whoosh. And I'm like, this is nothing. Nothing is happening.
But I know what you mean. That's why I stay away from certain animes. But if you want animes with action that you can that feels visceral, like it was real.
Well, in this Cowboy Bebop.
That, Fate, Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, and then the movie that came out with it.
I don't know the words that you just said. Fate.
What? It's on Netflix. Fate, Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works. Right?
Those words don't make sense together.
I know.
It's Japanese. That's an easy shot. That's an easy shot for me to take. That's not nice. I apologize to all the anime fans who are offended by me being
Final
an idiot.
Fantasy Type 0. What does that mean? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And I had issues with that game. Yeah. But absolutely. I know what you mean.
So that
but
Attack on Titans. Attack on Titans, you can watch the action in that is visceral, like you can really feel that. So yeah, there's certain animes that you watch to get your visceral action in that. Holy crap, like you had to be wide-eyed. So I know what you mean when it comes to like certain animes. You're not excited for their action aesthetics because it's just like, what is that crap, you know?
Yeah, in general, when I look to animation at all, I'm more interested. It skews closer to radio for me. Yeah. Where I'm hearing the voices and I'm interested in the script. Whereas when I'm watching something live action, I want to see action. Yeah. And when I'm watching animation, it's different. But I'm not excited for Pacific Rim, partly for that, but also because the whole premise, like you can say that Pacific Rim is about monsters and robots. That's not what it's about. Pacific Rim is about the idea of taking an anime and making it live action. Yeah. Like people say, oh, it's derivative of this anime and that anime. And it's like, no, you're missing the point. It's not about how it's derivative. It's about how it's translating that.
Yeah, it's basically like how a Tarantino would do a spaghetti western feel to his movies.
Exactly.
It's what Guillermo set out to do because he loves anime, so he wanted that feel. He wanted to give you that feel of seeing a live action anime. So it's a stylistic choice, which I appreciated. Actually.
Right. Yeah. And so saying we're doing an anime version of Pacific Rim, to me is like
derivative.
10 steps backwards.
The anime would be derivative of the film that's supposedly derivative of anime.
Exactly. I think that it's taking the entire reason that we watch Pacific Rim. Yeah. And like, cause we don't care about these characters. I don't even watch Pacific Rim 2.
I did watch it. I I enjoyed it. I understand why it wasn't the biggest deal. I enjoyed it, but I'm just sad that it ended like Independence 2 ended. We're gonna take the fight to them.
Oh yeah, it's always the oh, you got to stick around more, and
Yeah.
if we don't make a part 3, it's because of you,
Yeah.
because you didn't support us enough.
Oh my
Ugh.
god. Maybe that's what the anime is about. Like, since we didn't get to do a third Pacific Rim where they're taking a fight to them, let's
Yeah,
do
now
that.
we get a cheap version of that.
Yeah. But you're right.
I mean, anime is a lot cheaper to produce than a live
Yeah.
action movie,
I
right?
actually,
Like, that's not.
yeah. Actually, there's a lot of stuff that I would like to see anime versions of. Like once the Game of Thrones series is done, I would love to see an anime version of that. Only because they don't have to worry about the budgets. They can actually show you how much of a epic scale things were in the Game of Thrones that the TV series couldn't do, except for maybe this new season, which they're doing. It's a $90 million episode season.
Yeah.
So they get to do all types of stuff with it, but it's like too little, too late, man. Come on, man. You should have had that stuff from the beginning. But I understand.
But yeah, there are things that I'd like to see anime versions of.
Yeah.
I was thinking about one of my favorite movies, Rio Bravo, with John Wayne and Dean Martin.
Oh, right.
And Angie Dickinson and Ricky Nelson.
Yeah.
Crazy cast.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this Western, which it has some fights, but a lot of it is mostly just these people together figuring out how they're going to work together to save the town.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a kick-ass anime.
Yeah.
It's just like, because just the things that I look for in animation are these interpersonal interactions and a script that can be as fast as like a David Mamet thing.
Mm-hmm.
You get some Mamet vibes from like Speed Racer,
Mm-hmm.
where they're talking so fast, and like as soon as someone stops talking, the next person responds,
Mm-hmm.
and it is like that that pitter patter dialogue.
Yeah.
And I think something like that. I want to see an anime version of The West Wing.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I mean, here's the thing. They'll probably. I don't think that'll happen because they have to sell the thing, and it's not really an action-oriented thing. Even though there's, because I looked up different kinds of anime. You have shonen, which is for kids. You have Magic Girl, which is like Magic Girl stuff, like Sailor Moon and things. Hentais. You know what hentais are?
Is that like porn?
Yes. Hentais, harems. Then you have the sort of I forgot what they call like drama, anime drama, which is not really like an action show, but it's just drama, but it's in anime form. So they have those, but
I think I'm like the best live action anime that I can think of right now is Shin Godzilla.
Oh, right. I never watched it.
Which so good.
Yeah.
And
I thought I read somebody who has a YouTube channel that loves Godzilla hated that movie.
Well, that person's a dumbass.
Was it?
I mean, he's entitled to his own opinion,
well,
etc.
Was it Shin Godzilla the one where I think they were sort of mashing up a whole bunch of other Godzilla stuff, including paying homage to the movie that came out in the 90s? Something like that.
I think you're thinking of Final Wars.
Probably. Maybe.
This one is like a straight reboot where it's like this is the first time Godzilla's appeared in Tokyo, and it's his perspective rampage is juxtaposed.
You're talking about the anime, right?
No.
Oh, because there's an anime. There's an anime on Netflix with Godzilla. Oh.
Yeah, no, this came out before that.
Okay.
And it was like a huge box office success. It's from the director of Evangelion.
Oh, okay.
And basically he was doing the Evangelion Return of Evangelion movies, and after part 3 he was like burned out and was asked to do a Godzilla movie, and he was like, Evangelion, you're gonna have to wait. And did this, and he said it like reignited his creative passion, and it's really good.
Yeah.
It's got a great story about bureaucracy, and I can definitely see why people don't like it, because some of it
Oh yeah,
is
it is
can be
that
really
one.
boring to people.
Yes, that's what I remember. I remember that the person was talking about that, how it was, that was kind of like, it was because
Yeah,
it's a couple. It
I
was a
can
fat samurai. He's called himself the fat samurai, and his girlfriend. His girlfriend said she hated it because of that.
yeah, I can see Fat Samurai and his stupid friends going, "I want to see Godzilla punching more buildings," and I'd be like, "Shut up, Fat Samurai! You don't know what you're talking about. We have a feud now. We now have a pop culture galaxy Fat Samurai feud. We're gonna have a rap battle. I'm going to spit fire.
Mm.
Um, and no, I don't know who that is. I mean, if you don't like a movie, like it's fine,
Mm-hmm.
but you can just say I don't like that movie, and it's like okay, fine, don't like that movie. I like that movie because I'm much smarter than you are. Fat Samurai. Um, I don't know why I'm being so like who cares? Like if you like a movie that someone else doesn't like,
Right.
we'll all get over it. The world's gonna keep on spinning. But you either get it or you don't.
Yeah.
So you can let live.
Yeah.
But I'm right and Fat Samurai is wrong.
All right. So that oh, I did want to say something about Altered Carbon. Altered Carbon was a show that showed me that Netflix will, when they're ready, they won't skimp on budgets, because that really, like, the production design on that is almost like if you put Blade Runner 2049 and this side by side, you would think it's the same movie. Like in certain, like if you show the trailer and intercut them, you would think it's the same movie, because it's like the special effects is that good. But it was. I'm really excited for season 2. Can't wait. All right, so let's move on to some game news. All right, so BlizzCon was 2 weeks ago or a week ago,
Something like that.
yeah. Everything was going well until the last panel, which was the Diablo Immortal panel, when they announced that Diablo Immortal will only come to the iOS and Android devices, and people flipped. There's the Boo guy, the guy who asked, is it gonna be on PC? And he's like, no. And he's like, boo. And there's the guy, the April Fool's guy. He's like, is this some off-season April Fool's joke?
That April Fool's guy is an asshole. Not just because he's bald, but because he's an asshole. What a dick.
It's funny. So the guy who did the who asked the question about if it's gonna come to other consoles, he has his YouTube channel, and he explained how it works when you get in line. Like they ask you what kind of question you're gonna ask first, and if it's a question they don't like, they take you out the line. And of course that's not 100%, because you can switch your question at the last minute. Apparently this guy did that, where he was gonna ask a whole different question, and he asked about the off-season April Fool's joke, whatever. But people are not happy because Diablo. Well, let's put it this way: Blizzard is really catered to PC gamers. That's where they got their start. The only game that I know before Overwatch that came to other consoles was Diablo, and that was a huge announcement.
You're forgetting about StarCraft 64.
Oh, I didn't know. There was a StarCraft 64. Holy shit!
It's weird.
But as far as like the major, like a big one of their major stuff, when Diablo 3 was announced for consoles, everybody, oh my god, really?
Yeah, that's where I played it.
Yeah, they still, people are still holding out hope. Well, not hope. They're just thinking, will there be a time when Warcraft goes to console? That's just not gonna happen. StarCraft, probably not gonna happen. But
the audience for an RTS game is niche already.
Yeah.
Although they are very popular.
Mm-hmm.
But PC, as much as the PC people, PC players,
yeah,
are are so outspoken on the internet,
Right.
they are niche compared to console players.
Yeah.
Like, if you put out a game on PS4 and PC, the PS4 version is going to outsell it
Mm-hmm.
3-1
Yeah.
at least. And so you have a niche, which is PC,
Mm-hmm.
and then within that you have another niche, which is RTS.
Mm-hmm.
If you put that RTS on a console, everyone who wants to play it
Mm-hmm.
would rather play it on PC.
Yeah. Yep.
So I can definitely understand why they don't want to put their games on console.
Yeah.
As, the RTS ones
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah. But so their target audience for most of their games, PC. So when they make the announcement, oh, everything is gonna be on mobile, I understand. I understand some of the backlash, yes. But here's what I think. Blizzard should have did to avoid that, because the whole a lot of articles are really dedicated to this, and which I can see where they're coming from, is that Blizzard should have known better, especially if you're hyping up Diablo 4. If it's the one you're showing last on your sort of opening day, people are expecting Diablo 4.
Yeah, that's what I wrote.
Yeah, right. So they could have been so many easier ways to let people swallow that immortal pill more. Do what Bethesda did, right? It's like they're announcing all these other games and a Elder Scrolls game for mobile, right? Elder Scrolls game for mobile, but that was the second to last announcement, and so people don't feel cheated, even though Elder Scrolls 6 is probably not going to come out until 5 years from now or however long. They created a small CG teaser just to say, hey folks, we're making this game, right? So it closed the show on that note, so everybody cheered like, oh my god, yes, that's awesome. You won't hear about Elder Scrolls 6 for another 4 years, I guarantee it, right?
Yeah, that's the kind of announcement I remember that's a great comparison.
Yeah.
Because I remember when they announced that, and the crowd went nuts.
Right.
When they did Elder Scrolls 6, and me watching at home, and other journalists and stuff who were watching with a more objective eye, were kind of like, that's a cheap shot.
Yeah.
But it made the people who were there go nuts.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's who you got to play to. Like, I didn't watch the keynote, the BlizzCon stuff live. I didn't watch that on streaming.
I didn't watch it live either. Yeah.
And no one did. I mean, not nobody.
Yeah.
Did, but
yeah.
Compared to E3, compared to Bethesda's conference at E3, no one watched Blizzard's live stream. Did they stream that live? Did they do that?
Yes. Yeah.
I caught the headlines later.
Yeah.
But when you're making an event for the people who are actually going to come out to your event, as opposed to making something that you're just going to show on the internet that anybody can watch, you got to play to them.
Yep.
You don't announce a free-to-play mobile spin-off with microtransactions to the people who are waiting for Diablo 4 or Diablo 2 remastered.
Right.
So at the same time as I condemn these friggin' jackasses for going, are you making an April Fool's joke?
Yeah.
Directly to a developer's face?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of asshole do you think you are? You bald son of a bitch? Oh, I'm a famous YouTuber. It's like, well, gonna beat a famous YouTuber to death with my bare hands. No, I would never do that. Because then I wouldn't be able to type, and then how would I make my money? If I break every bone in my hand on this freaking guy's skull. Don't be violent, people. What was I even saying?
You basically they should have played to the crowd that's there, by ending it.
Yeah, I can definitely understand why it doesn't excuse them for being such dicks.
Yeah, but you can understand.
But I can understand why they were upset.
Yeah. So,
and if gamers were more mature, they would have found a better way to do it, to express their discontent. but they're not, and Blizzard knows that gamers are not mature. That's why they have, moderators on Overwatch.
Yeah. Yep. Love that game, by the way. I'm playing it right now. But yeah, basically Blizzard. Even if they have no, I mean, they did say their teams working on multiple Diablo projects. And I'm sure Diablo 4 is one of those projects. If you're using Immortal as your big seller, like you want your thing to sell, this is your main baby right here, but it's on mobile, create a little teaser, knowing that people don't want this to be your last thing. Create a little teaser for Diablo 4. Say, oh, and by the way, here you go, Diablo 4 for you guys.
If they had done exactly what Bethesda did, we wouldn't be talking about how much we hate Diablo Immortal or gamers.
Yeah, but Bethesda did it. Nintendo did it when they announced the next Metroid.
Crossing?
No, Metroid 4.
Metroid, yeah.
Right? Because they talked about the Metroid for the DS, and it's like, wait, we're not getting any love for the Switch, no? And then they said, no, you're Metroid 4. Yep. It's just a title. They didn't show anything. Who else did it? Gears. Microsoft did it, but at least they had Gears 5, a portion of it ready to show.
Oh, right, because they had like Gears Pop and then Gears the RTS. Yeah. The RTS looks actually like it could be really cool.
Yeah.
Or not RTS, turn-based, right?
It was an RTS, I think. Was it? Yeah, it was an RTS, was it?
No. Well, it was more like tactics, like Final Fantasy Tactics style, or XCOM rather.
Yeah. So they know what's what. You know what I mean? They know their crowd is there for a certain thing.
No one's there for a spin-off.
Yeah.
Especially, like, maybe they could have gotten away with it with, like, the Gears of War spin-offs, because there were two, and they were vastly different, and one is for kids. Ostensibly for kids. We'll see how much blood there is with the chainsaw, like, if you make a chibi version of a locust, rip them in half.
Yeah.
Like, that could actually be adorable, even if it is rated M.
Yeah.
But, maybe you could swing that. But the fact that they were like, and we also have Gears of War 5, and it actually looks really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it. That's nothing but net.
Yeah.
But this, when you say, we don't have Diablo 4, we don't have Diablo 2 remastered, we do have a mobile game that you don't want. We have Diablo for your grandma.
Mm-hmm.
We have Diablo that your friends can play while they're waiting in line at the supermarket.
Yeah.
This isn't your father's Diablo. It's not your Diablo either.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It just soiled the whole thing, because BlizzCon had amazing announcement. It had the Reforge, Warcraft 3 Reforge, which people are excited for. Yep. It had the new hero Ashe that comes to Overwatch, people are excited for. But it's just this one thing just soiled the whole thing, and they lost like how many? $3 billion in stocks because of the whole thing, whatever. But I don't know.
The stock market's bullshit. Also, like someone sneezes during a live presentation, and they're like, "Oh, our money went down."
Yeah.
But then like a week later, it goes back up. So when people forget, it's so volatile. I can't wait for the whole thing to burst and for everyone to go poor and die. Oh, man, I tried not to be negative this podcast. We were doing so good. And then this freaking bald son of a bitch shows up, and he's like, well, are you making some kind of joke?
Well, it's not going to help because of our next topic. They canceled season 2 of Final Fantasy 15. And three of the 4 DLCs. At least Arden is coming out. Those 3 of the 4 DLCs, that's Luna, Aranea, and Noctis. Those 3 are canceled, and Hajime Tabata has resigned from Luminous Studios and Square Enix.
Yeah, do we think he got poached, or was he just over Square Enix? Because he seemed like he had a lot of passion for Final Fantasy 15.
I think he's burnt out. Here's what I think happened, right? So Final Fantasy 15 came out. People loved it, but it had issues. It's like they don't feel the story is complete. There's a lot of stuff, right, that they need to And some of it is by their own design, especially they knew they're gonna have episode Prompto, episode Ignis, all those episodes, which in my opinion should have been in the main game. But they were developing those episodes as when the game came out. After the game came out, they were developing those, right? And then once they did the whole survey of what people want, and a lot of it, they want more Luna, they want more Arden. They decided, all right, let's make those, right? But that's why they gave him his own gave him Luna Studios to create those content, right? Here's what I think happened. They got to Arden, because Arden is coming out March. They got to Arden and realized how much work that was, and realizing that in 2019 they wouldn't get Arden, they wouldn't get Luna, they wouldn't get Aranea, and they wouldn't get Noctis out. For the time that they had, right? And that's why he probably realized, holy shit, I can't do this. And they probably forced him to do it or whatever. I don't know. And he said, you know what? I'm done with Final Fantasy 15. I can't work on it anymore. This game account is 2016 already. This is good, coming on. It'll be 3 years by the time everything comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that is what I think the main reason is. I mean, we can only speculate, but I think that the financials just don't line up.
Yeah.
I think, the audience for DLC, they already know. Unless
ルシスはおよそ2000年もの間そなたを牢に閉じ込めていた。ルシスの目標、それはそなたも望んでいるはず。貴様に何がわかる。
何者だ。
特定できておりません。
敵であることに変わりはない。
戦車するんだ。
目的は何だ。
やっと会えた。兄上、そうですぜ。
Yeah, I didn't even
and they
buy
put out
Rage.
the DLC. They put out the DLC in like 2016 or 2015.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they originally had plans for it. They just never did it. And then years
ルシスは
later,
およそ2000年もの間そなたを牢に閉じ込めていた。ルシスの目標、それはそなたも望んでいるはず。貴様に何がわかる。
何者だ。
特定できておりません。
敵であることに変わりはない。
戦車するんだ。It's different. It's such a universally beloved brand, and Final Fantasy 15 especially is a game that people were eager to buy up the rest of it. Mm-hmm. People like me, I didn't play it because I was waiting for it to be done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now they're saying, and I remember that when they announced the new season of content, mm-hmm. they were like episode Noctis 2 or whatever. This episode Noctis was going to be like the finale. It's going to be the ending of Final Fantasy 15.
Right.
And now we're not getting that.
Yeah. Well, they're saying it was supposed to be because the picture
maybe
they showed was it was a picture of an alternate universe. So maybe it was going to be an alternate take.
Okay, I'm glad I canceled then.
Because the episode Ignis has two endings.
Of course it does.
It has the ending that ties into what the main game
and
is,
then like a what if ending.
And then a what if ending. So the one that I'm more sad about is the Luna one, because I wanted more Luna to show more of her character and maybe even her interaction with Noctis would be in that episode. But I'm at least happy we're getting Arden, because it deals with his past. They showed a trailer of it, which showed how his game mechanics work, and as well as like you're gonna see a young Regis in it. You're gonna see more of Insomnia. So I'm happy about that, but I'm sad that like because I'm assuming that with a lot of these episodes we're gonna get some free add-ons, like how they added
stuff to the main game. And just additional patches. Like by now the game is so different than when it launched. There's so many more quests and story additions you can play as other character, like the other characters
Yeah.
instead of Noctis during most fights.
Well, you have to when you unlock them in the skill tree, you get to play as them.
I haven't played it, so I really don't know like how it goes. But the weird upside of it is that now that all the content is just cut off, I'm like, well, I guess I should play the game now.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting until episode Noctis comes out next year, I'm like, well, I guess it's time for me to play Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
I've got everything I'm gonna get.
The only thing I want them to do, which I hope they do, is make the episodes, integrate them in the main game. I don't want to have
that would be really cool. That would be great for me.
Yeah, I don't want to have to stop the game and when because there's points in the game where the characters leave
clearly that's when their story is.
Yeah. So I want them to sort of integrate those episodes in. So when the characters leave, they give you the option: do you want to play his content now or later? You know what I'm saying? You play
that would be great. Yeah. I would be so into that.
Yeah. So that's what I hope they do. Like maybe once Arden comes out, they do that update to make everything integrated.
And I don't know if they would have time for this, but I would also like for Arden to be, I wouldn't expect them to retool the whole thing, and I don't even know who Arden is.
Mm-hmm.
But for it to somehow have a degree of conclusion, so the whole thing to be like, hey guys, this is the last episode, so here's a little epilogue. Even if they take the endings that they had written for the other episodes and just threw them in like text boxes.
Well, it'll definitely help for the conclusion, because one of the issues we had with the game is that we weren't 100% sold on Arden in terms of why is Arden doing the things he's doing. You know what I mean? If we got that motivation, then we can sort of understand the conclusion of the entire thing. So at least that and the Luna thing would have helped me. I didn't need the Iron Air, because that was just more for like a side quest anyway, like a little. They didn't even call that part 3. They called that a side story. Noctis was really part 3, which I won't miss. I don't necessarily need more Noctis. I needed more every other character in it. I had enough Noctis in the main game. Noctis is the one that's really, his point of view is told throughout the main game.
Right.
If you just played vanilla Final Fantasy 15, he's the most.
That is episode Noctis.
Yeah. And then you get to know more about Ignis and Gladio in their content, plus the Brotherhood animation that came out. I hope when they get around to doing 16, which probably won't be until, oh my god, these guys take so long to make it, which is fine, because you take your time, you make the games, they come out.
Right, like we were talking about with MCU, each game's got to stand alone.
But what I don't want is for 16 to have the same release that 15 had, where you basically paid, by the time you get all the content, if you got it day one, it's $180 or something like that. You pay.
Yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy 15 is definitely a unique case, I think. I don't think that will happen again in that way. I think that they're always going to try to find a way to get you to buy more stuff.
Yeah.
But this specific case, I don't think we're ever going to see something like Final Fantasy 15.
Because 15 was versus 13 at the time. It wasn't supposed to be a 15 game.
Yeah, even Kingdom Hearts 3, I don't think is like. I think there's going to be significant post-release content and patches for Kingdom Hearts 3. I think that we're going to be like, wow, Kingdom Hearts 3 ended kind of quickly and abruptly. It's my prediction.
Well, I hope not. Jesus, especially the fact that people were waiting how many years for 3? It better have a conclusion.
Well,
because they'll get more for backlash for Kingdom Hearts 3 than they got for 15.
True, because it is a direct sequel.
Yeah.
And is billed as the grand finale.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that the gamer community who tells people that their games are an April Fool's joke will find a way to be upset with Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah. It's a good thing that because I've been following it. I just haven't played all the games. I have all of them on my shelf ready to play. before 3 comes out. So maybe my acceptance of 3 will be completely different from the people who waited since 2000.
4,
Yeah.
5, I think, was Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah. Well, things came out after
Yeah.
which are sequels, so they got their fix.
Yeah, it's true. Like, you know,
like isn't 3
they don't
3 and
they
6?
don't fill the void.
Uh-huh.
But I will say that Birth by Sleep is my favorite Kingdom Hearts.
Right.
You know, so although I didn't play that until PS3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that actually brings us to the end of this podcast or video.
Video cast.
Yeah.
They still call it a podcast.
Yeah, they still do.
Yeah.
All right. So where can they find you, Zach?
You can find me at my name, Zach Wojner, on Twitter, and you can read my stuff on Screen Rant.
And you can find me at Twitter and Instagram at my name as well, at Marky Tundra. And you can like Pop Culture on Facebook. That's Pop Culture, facebook.com/popculturegalaxy. And get to popculturegalaxy.com for all your entertainment goodies. So until next time, folks, peace.
Indeed. Perfect timing, too.
Yep.